Welcome to or welcome back to Simple Abundance and Tarot. And if you have any suggestions for a better name, I'm all ears because it, it is what it is, right? It's Simple Abundance and Tarot and those two things, and that's what this is all about. And I couldn't think of anything better, and I didn't want to put it off any longer until I could think of some cool name. So, Simple Abundance and Tarot, or if you have any ideas, please share them. And if somebody has a cool idea, then I will absolutely use that. So this is actually episode number 4 of Simple Abundance and Tarot, and realized yesterday when I uploaded yesterday's video that hadn't actually published the first 2 to YouTube. They were in YouTube, but they were privately listed, whatever it is, that like the default. So published 3 episodes yesterday because I published yesterday's episodes and then episodes 1 and 2. So all 3 episodes are now available. If you haven't checked those out yet and you'd like to check those out. I have not uploaded them as podcast episodes anywhere, but maybe I'll do that today. We'll see. Today is Monday, January 27th, and so I will go ahead and read from Simple Abundance, a day book of comfort and joy, the daily dialogue. And so if you remember from yesterday's episode, we talked about, simple tools for self-care, and her daily dialogue was one of her simple tools that she mentioned. And so today she tells us a little bit more. Oh, and in case this is your first time at Simple Abundance and Tarot, the reason the word tarot is in there is because after I read the daily passage and reflect on it, I then pull a tarot card and reflect on that card in the context of the day's passage. So, all right, January 27th, the daily dialogue, and the quote that starts the passage is, "I will write myself into well-being." Then the author says, "Because I write all day long professionally and work very hard at my craft, most of my adult life I have passionately resisted keeping a personal journal. It just seemed like too much effort, and I really didn't have the time. But when I embarked on the Simple Abundance path, I became aware of all the conversations that I continuously carry on with myself. There was rarely a quieting of my mind. Instead, I'd hear, 'The cat's acting funny. Is she sick? If the Cleveland airport gets snowed in on Thursday, how will I get home? Am I ever going to get paid again? We need new slipcovers in the living room. The old ones are starting to look shabby,' and so forth. I discovered that my mind will grab hold of a single thought, like a pit bull terrier with a bone, and not let it go until I am exhausted or have lost interest." Relatable. One day, desperate to quiet the voice in my head, I took a spiral notebook and began having a conversation with myself on the paper. Everything I was worried about just spilled out in a rapid stream of consciousness. What I was doing was not so much recording the events of my life as much as eliminating the mental minutiae that was depleting my creative energy and driving me crazy. I was then able to let go and get on with my day. "Groan and forget it," the writer Jessamine West advised, and she's right. This ritual became very centering and therapeutic. I've been doing my daily dialogue for several years now, and while I may sometimes skip a few days, I always look forward to checking in with my consciousness because this inner tool really works. It clears my head and calms my restless spirit. And I will do the same for you. Interestingly, after a while, the pages take on a life of their own. I call this ritual the daily dialogue because you are really conversing with someone much wiser and saner as you write, your authentic self. Try writing a daily dialogue as an experiment for 21 days. That's the length of time psychologists tell us we need to perform a new behavior before it becomes habitual. Neither the time of day nor the amount you write seems to matter as much as the repetition. Stressed souls need the reassuring rhythm of self-nurturing rituals. Sometimes, when I have a particularly thorny issue to resolve, I'll write 2 pages in the morning and come back in the evening to see if there isn't an answer that's forthcoming. Very frequently there is. And until there is, at least there is a relief and a release. When you start writing the daily dialogue, you'll probably be shocked at how much complaining you do at the beginning. That's okay. Actually, that's a very healthy reaction. You can't moan about a situation for months and not decide to do something about it. You'll get tired of the sound of your own nagging and be inspired to get moving. Another suggestion: don't use a fancy, pretty journal for your daily dialogue. It's too intimidating, because you'll then want it to be perfect and profound, and that is not the point. Use a spiral notebook or loose leaf pages. Just get down on paper whatever's hovering on the horizon of your brain, disguised as a dull headache. Alison Lurie confessed that, with pencil and paper, I could revise the world. Writing a daily dialogue is a sure way of revising yours as you search for your authenticity. So, very relatable for me personally. I for sure am in constant conversation with myself. And so a journaling practice for me has been very helpful. And personally, I don't write it as a daily dialogue. I just brain dump. But I could see how writing it like a dialogue would be helpful. And maybe more entertaining if you find journaling boring. If you wrote it as more of like a script and dialogue between two different characters, or your external self and internal self, or your lower self and your higher self. That might be a way to get into it if you find it difficult to get into journaling otherwise. And then the thing about the pretty notebook, I know, I'm aware that this is an issue for a lot of people, and it certainly is one for me, that I can tend to get a little precious about the notebook that I'm writing in, and it does make it difficult to show up if, I'm not sure that it's going to be perfect, whatever that is. I mean, you're writing in a notebook that nobody's ever going to see except for you. So I apologize, my voice is so croaky. I keep having to stop for sips of water. So just thinking about the daily dialogue and as a journaling practice, instead of just writing as like a brain dump or a stream of consciousness or kind of like a prose format, writing it like a conversation, writing it like lines of dialogue that are being exchanged by two characters. I think that's a really interesting, creative way to go about it. And then the thing about the notebook that, I can relate to that, and I feel like my best, and what I mean by best is like when I have the most insight into situations, is when I am writing somewhere super random in some other notebook, and I am not worried about how it looks or how it sounds because I'm just trying to get it out. And so that is something that I've already implemented personally, is not being precious about the notebook that I'm using. Like the notebook I'm currently using is just, I just picked it up and started writing in it, and it's not new, it's not particularly nice, it's just It's just a notebook, and it allows me to write in it and get my thoughts out of my head and onto paper. Um, so, all right, I will shuffle these tarot cards. I should have shuffled while I was talking. I'm sorry. All right, set those back there. Oh, Queen of Wands in reverse. Okay, so Queen of Wands in reverse. That's really interesting. Um, so we had the Queen of Pentacles upright yesterday, and we talked about how the queens are healthy, mature expressions of their suit. And so when cards come in upside down, they tend to have the opposite meaning, or um, the shadows versus the virtues, um, or contradictions, that kind of thing. And so, the Queen of Wands upside down is definitely not the nurturing expression of wands. So wands are associated with fire, the element fire, and the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And so if you think about those signs, or people who are Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, those people tend to be confident and courageous and ambitious. And so thinking about our Queen of Wands coming in upside down, to me that feels like um, a person who isn't those things, a person who is lacking self-confidence, is not feeling ambitious, whether that's, a lack of interest, or a lack of direction. And to me, that is not that the person doesn't have ambitions. It's just that maybe they're overwhelmed, or sort of lack a sense of direction, or they're burnt out. So it's not that they're not ambitious. It's just that they don't have the capacity, or maybe they don't have the capacity to channel their energy in a productive way. And so for me, getting this card in the context of today's reading seems to suggest that we're feeling a bit disconnected from our authentic selves. We're lacking our self-confidence. We are ambitious people. We just don't have the capacity to channel our energy toward our ambitions. And so if we cultivate a self-care practice like journaling, if we are having these honest conversations with ourselves, then we can reconnect to our authentic self. Then we can restore that self-confidence. Then we can, get our mojo back and get on the right track toward achieving our goals. So, yeah, um, yeah, that's okay. So yes, just reflecting on the day's passage about journaling and connecting with your authentic self by having conversations with yourself. And then getting the Queen of Wands in reverse, this card that is, as the wands are associated with the fire element, and those are signs like Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and then the houses that are associated with those themes, that's first house, fifth house, and ninth house. So Aries, first house, that's your most personal house. That's where your rising sign is, and even if you are not an Aries rising, your first house is deeply tied to your identity, and Aries is associated with themes of identity as well. And so that's first house and Aries themes have to do with identity um, and personality. And then fifth house has to do with and Leo themes include creative expression, what lights you up, what you do for fun, what you really care about, um, that kind of stuff. And then ninth house and Sagittarius themes are, expansion, exploration, philosophy, um, those sorts of themes. So you have, your personal identity, and then, what you find joy in, and then like your philosophy on life, and the growth. And so just thinking about those themes and this card coming in upside down, I think we're being invited to have conversations with ourselves around those themes. And maybe a good way to have those conversations would be to journal, and write out our thoughts and feelings, and just get everything out of our heads, and onto paper, um, outside of us. That's Wands energy is also that making the internal external um, actions. And so, that's taking your thoughts and feelings and then doing something with them to, transmute them. Or, speaking of thoughts, I cannot seem to collect mine today. I apologize. Um, so I'll try to wrap this up. In the context of the day's passage, which is about reconnecting with yourself, having honest conversations with yourself, maybe through journaling. And then to get the Queen of Wands upside down, which, suggests this sort of lack of connection with self, lack of self-confidence, a lack of capacity to pursue your goals, that sort of thing. I think this card is an invitation to get back into conversation with ourselves, to get back in touch with ourselves, and reconnect with our authentic selves in order to restore that self-confidence, in order to um, build that capacity to go after our goals, in order to build our capacity to do the things that make us happy, in order to, reconnect us to our philosophy, and, living the life that we want to live, reconnecting to who, we self-identify as. Um, yeah, okay. All right, so I guess I will go ahead and sign off now. I just want to say thank you so much for being here. However you're engaging with this, I appreciate that you are engaging with it, and I apologize for being more scatterbrained today than usual. Um, I, I will get better. This is my fourth video, and so I think just I already feel a little bit better each time I hit record. So just bear with me. I think I'll get better, and progress over perfection, and Kaizen, little incremental improvements. But so just thank you so much for being here. I do really appreciate it, and I would love to know what came up for you today. If what came up for me regarding what the Queen of Wands in reverse means in the context of today's passage. If that resonated with you, what came up for me, or if something completely different came up for you, what was that? I would love to know. So if we could have conversations in the comments, that would be awesome. I would love that. Yeah, so comment, like, subscribe if you want to. Um, and I hope that you want to. I hope that you want to continue to engage with me in these conversations. Yeah. Okay. So thank you again for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow.